gmna uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good evening. The City Council just approved year-round outdoor dining, letting our sidewalk cafes stay open through winter while construction keeps traffic moving at a crawl. And for a taste of Italy, a spritz-filled bar opens today in the East Village. Over to you, Andre.
A new spritz-focused bar opened today in the East Village, launched by alumni from the Dante Culinary Program, featuring Italian coastal decor and a curated cocktail menu.
The establishment, named La Spiaggia, occupies a corner storefront on Avenue A between 9th and 10th Streets, operating nightly from 6 p.m. until midnight.
The bar's menu highlights a house-made Aperol Spritz, a lemon-infused Negroni, and a selection of small plates priced between $8 and $15.
The new East Village spot invites locals to sip and socialize tonight. Lots to get to. Let's begin as we transition to our news coverage. Here are our top stories. The City Council voted to make outdoor dining structures permanent, allowing restaurants to keep their patios year-round and winterize them. This expands the program beyond the summer months. Marisol Furrer has the full story.
The council voted yesterday to make the city's seasonal sidewalk cafes a permanent fixture. Lawmakers approved a bill that lets restaurants keep their pop-up tables, chairs, and awnings in place all year, with provisions for winterizing the structures. Officials say the change will let eat-outs maintain revenue streams when temperatures drop, while still meeting safety standards. The measure passed with a comfortable majority after weeks of debate among local business groups and neighborhood associations. City staff will draft guidelines on insulation, lighting, and wind protection so owners can protect their investments through snow and ice. The new rule takes effect this coming spring, giving venues time to adapt their setups before the first cold snap. Marisol Furrer, GMNA News, New York City.
New York City officials face opposition from the United Federation of Teachers, as the union signals it may block the department's proposed overhaul of the reading curriculum. UFT President Michael Mulgrew told reporters on August 13 that the city will encounter union resistance unless additional reforms are incorporated into the plan. The overhaul, first approved in 2023, introduced a phonics-focused approach and was initially endorsed by the union. The department's current reading instruction revamp, launched 3 years ago with union support, has been followed by a decline in citywide reading test scores. Mulgrew said the union will withhold cooperation on the new curriculum changes until the city addresses the performance drop. City leaders have not yet responded to the union's warning. The dispute centers on whether the plan changes will reverse the recent downward trend in student reading outcomes.
The Mamdani administration announced today that the city's subsidized childcare program will now cover weekly co-pays for eligible families, effectively making childcare free for those who qualify. Officials say the new policy will benefit 22,000 families across the 5 boroughs, easing a major financial strain for working parents. The move expands an existing safety net that already provides reduced tuition rates, and city leaders say it reflects a continued commitment to early education access. Parents who are already enrolled in the program will see the change reflected on their next billing cycle, while new applicants can expect the same full coverage once approved. The administration plans to monitor enrollment numbers and adjust funding as needed, aiming to keep the program sustainable while supporting New York's growing workforce. Community groups have praised the initiative, noting that affordable care helps keep families stable and children ready to learn.
The Taxi and Limousine Commission proposes dropping $200 fines for drivers with suspended licenses who are more than 30 days delinquent on drug tests or inspections, affecting 180,000 drivers. Raphael Brannigan has the full story.
The Taxi and Limousine Commission is moving to scrap a $200 penalty that currently hits drivers whose licenses are already suspended and who have gone beyond 30 days without completing required drug tests or vehicle inspections. Officials say the change aims to ease the stacked financial hits on the city's 180,000 taxi and limousine operators. Under the proposal, once a driver's license is suspended, the additional fine would no longer apply regardless of how long the compliance backlog extends. The Commission, which regulates all of the cities for hire vehicles, is reviewing the measure as part of the Mamdani administration's effort to lighten the burden on drivers facing multiple penalties. Raphael Brannigan, GMNA News, Manhattan.
Councilmember Christopher Mart has reintroduced legislation that would prohibit any effort to shift New York City retirees and their dependents from traditional Medicare to a privatized plan. The bill targets the roughly 250,000 retired civil servants and family members currently covered under the federal program. Supporters, including the city's Retired Civil Servants Organization, argue the measure is essential to safeguard benefits that have long protected retirees from market volatility. City officials are weighing a proposal that could move the entire retiree pool into a private alternative, prompting concerns about cost and coverage stability. Mart's proposal is set for debate in the council next week, and advocates say a vote could determine whether the city maintains its existing Medicare structure or embarks on a wholesale redesign. The outcome will directly affect the health security of a sizable portion of the city's former workforce. Later, we'll break down the council's new pedicab meter rule after a flood of complaints, plus more on city life. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. The New York City Council is moving to place pedicab oversight under the Taxi and Limousine Commission and to require a meter on every ride. Lawmakers cite a recent wave of tourist complaints, with 172 reports filed last year about rides that can cost as much as $1,000. The proposal would shift licensing, safety inspections, and fare enforcement to the commission that already regulates yellow cabs and rideshares. Officials say a transparent meter system would curb inflated charges and give riders a clear price before they board. The measure is slated for a council hearing later this week, and if approved it could become city law by the end of the year. Critics argue it may add bureaucracy, but supporters contend it addresses a growing grievance among visitors and locals alike.
A mixed-use housing proposal for Queens, Sunnyside Yard could add thousands of units to the Amtrak rail site, sparking brief enthusiasm that has since faded. Dominic Salerno has the full story.
Plans filed this week envision a sprawling mixed-use complex rising on the Amtrak rail yard in Sunnyside. The proposal, backed by Amtrak and developer Mamdani, would transform the freight site into a community of thousands of apartments, along with ground-level retail and office space. Early reactions from local groups and city officials were upbeat, with hopes the project could ease the borough's housing crunch. Over the past few weeks, however, the buzz has dimmed and the proposal has slipped out of recent public forums. Officials say the project remains under review, while community advocates await further details on design, affordability, and timeline. Residents nearby continue to watch the site, hoping the development will finally move forward. Dominic Salerno, GMNA News, Sunnyside.
Police took a Queens parolee into custody after officers discovered a dead dog inside his College Point apartment during a scheduled compliance inspection. The discovery occurred at roughly 10:33 this morning at the residence on 1314 College Point Boulevard. Parole officers conducting the routine home visit reported the animal to the New York Police Department, prompting detectives to intervene. The suspect, whose identity has not been released, was arrested on the spot and is being held pending further investigation. Authorities emphasize that parolees are subject to regular checks to ensure they adhere to release conditions, and violations can result in immediate detention. The incident underscores the thoroughness of the parole supervision system and the role of NYPD in responding to unexpected findings during such inspections. The home, located in the borough of Queens, falls under the jurisdiction of the NYPD's 107th Precinct.
At 4:58 p.m. this afternoon, Fergus Farrell stepped onto the Brooklyn Bridge to launch a coast-to-coast trek that will span nearly 3,000 miles. The former construction worker, who was left paralyzed by a spinal injury in 2018, spent roughly 1 year confined to a wheelchair before setting his sights on the journey. Today marks the first step of a spiritual and physical pilgrimage that will carry him across the United States, ending on the Pacific coast. Farrell says the walk is both a celebration of his recovery and a test of endurance, and he hopes the route will inspire others facing hardship. He will begin by crossing the historic span, then head north through the Hudson Valley before continuing westward through the heart of the nation. The journey is expected to take several months, tracing iconic routes from coast to coast.
Retired New York Supreme Court Justice Charles J. Thomas died early this morning, August 13th at 92. The former justice, a longtime mentor to legal professionals, passed away in New York City. Dominic Salerno has the full story.
Charles J. Thomas, a former justice of the New York State Supreme Court, died early this morning, August 13th, at the age of 92. The Brandeis Association confirmed his passing, noting his decades on the bench and his reputation as a mentor to generations of lawyers across the city. Colleagues recall his courtroom demeanor, marked by calm deliberation and a willingness to guide younger attorneys. He retired after a long tenure, during which he contributed to numerous landmark decisions that shaped state jurisprudence. Tributes are flowing from bar associations and former clerks, all recalling his steady guidance and the respect he earned throughout his career. Dominic Salerno, GMNA News, Manhattan.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what tonight's weather has in store coming up.
A high-pressure ridge anchored by a northwest jet stream keeps New York blisteringly clear tonight. On this date, the city's all-time high reached 90 degrees in 2021, a blistering peak that arrived in the middle of a multi-day heat wave. The all-time low sits at 54 degrees, recorded in 2022 when an Arctic surge pushed a cold front deep into the northeast. By comparison, the climatological average high for August 13th hovers around 79 degrees and the average low near 65. Those benchmarks show today's 86-degree reading is well above normal, while the nighttime low of 68 still clears the record comfortably. The live radar loop shows a completely blank echo across the metropolitan area. No rain bands or convective cells are visible, confirming the atmosphere is capped by a subsiding high-pressure dome. With the northwest jet stream racing aloft at 117 miles per hour, any disturbance would be sheared apart before reaching the surface. Expect the clear sky to persist through the evening, and the radar will remain quiet as the night unfolds. Right now, the city sits at 86 degrees under a clear sky, humidity hovering 47%, and a gentle northwest breeze at 10 miles per hour, gusting to 20. Pressure is rising as a high-pressure ridge pushes in, and the fast northwest jet, at 117 miles per hour, reinforces the subsidence that keeps clouds at bay. The UV index reads 5, and wind will stay below 16 miles per hour through the evening. At 7 p.m., the temperature will dip to 84, then fall to 68 overnight as the ridge remains intact. Tomorrow's forecast calls for an overcast day with a high of 88 and a low of 68, the same ridge gradually weakening as a weak frontal boundary nudges the jet stream southward. No active alerts are in effect. The next 5 days remain under the lingering ridge, with gradual changes. Friday brings overcast skies and a high of 88, low staying at 68. Saturday clears, cooling to a high of 84 and a low of 66. Sunday sees a slow-moving trough delivering a 45% rain chance, with a high of 81 and a low of 68. Monday repeats the warmth at 88, but again carries a 45% rain risk, while the low lifts to 72. Tuesday returns to mostly clear conditions, high 86, low 68. Overall, the temperature swing stays within 10 degrees, and showers appear only on the 2 days with the trough influence. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunset is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Up next, traffic updates, the new East Village Spritz bar opening and Giants roster moves. Stay tuned, we will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Springfield Boulevard Bridge is under a double-lane closure, adding up to 15 minutes on the Brooklyn-Queens connector. Drivers on Atlantic Avenue and the Belt Parkway should expect slower traffic as cars divert onto side streets. Greenpoint Avenue Bridge has a single lane closed for repairs. Traffic remains steady. On 130 Avenue, a lane is shut for bridge work, creating a short bottleneck. The MTA has suspended L train service, with shuttle buses at 8th Avenue and Bedford Avenue. N train runs with intermittent delays between Astoria and Coney Island, and the R train is suspended between Forest Hills and Bay Ridge, with shuttles at 71st Avenue and 36th Street. Long Island Railroad has added a 30-minute delay on the Babylon line. NJ Transit runs altered service on the North Jersey coastline, with some trains ending early today for commuters.
East Village gets a taste of the Italian coast today as Dante alumni launch a spritz-heavy restaurant/aperitivo bar. Think fresh seafood, pasta, and late-night discoteca menus, perfect for a quick escape from the summer heat. Next week, Central Park's Delacorte Theater will host the city's first summer book club, the NYPL's Big Summer Book Club, with a free night of readings, performances, and a conversation with N.K. Jemisin. It's a chance to mingle with fellow readers while the park buzzes with spring energy. And music fans, keep an eye on Madison Square Garden where Olivia Dean is set to perform. Last-minute tickets are still floating around, so snag one and enjoy a soulful set that's already generating buzz across the city. Finally, if you're looking for a weekend thrill, Luna Park's charity Coasterthon rolls out this Saturday, pitting 7 nonprofits against each other for a $10,000 grand prize. Free rides, fierce competition, and a good cause. And now here's Desmond with sports.
Summer heat fuels roster shuffles, fantasy drafts, and pitching duels across New York. The Giants ripped up their secondary roster Thursday, cutting DJ James and David Long, both signed only 8 days earlier, and adding a new defensive back. With the cornerback group still thin, the moves signal a scramble for depth ahead of training camp's final weeks. Red Draft fantasy leagues ignite mid-August, running through Labor Day weekend as families, coworkers, and friends lock in their lineups. With the draft window open, savvy owners should hunt for sleepers, players poised to exceed expectations and become league-changing assets. The Yankees will send Max Fried to the mound against Seattle's Logan Gilbert, a duel that could set the tone for New York's rotation. Fried's recent form and Gilbert's command make this matchup a litmus test for both clubs' pitching aspirations. Zach Thornton's latest start offers the Mets a glimpse at solving their 2027 pitching puzzle, especially after a 53-69 campaign that left postseason hopes dead. If the lockout clears, his performance could shape the rotation and answer the front office's biggest question. The Giants' special teams meeting turned into a kicker showdown, with Dominic Zivada and Ben Sauls battling for the starting spot. After years of injuries and missed opportunities, Horton's laugh underscores a rare optimism that the young duo could finally bring consistency to New York's field goal unit. Jarrett Cole earned a spotlight in the Yankees' sequence of the week, adding another milestone to a storied pinstripe legacy. As the franchise's greats tally up, Cole's latest outing reinforces his place among the elite, reminding fans why he remains a cornerstone of New York's rotation. Stay tuned, the season's storylines are just heating up.
Thanks, Desmond. New York City's new Open for Small Business initiative, launching borough-wide, is a sweeping package of more than 50 reforms designed to cut red tape and lower fees for the city's entrepreneurs. From Manhattan's bustling cafes to Queens' family-run bodegas and Brooklyn's neighborhood barbershops, the The program eliminates outdated permits, slashes or waives certain fines, and streamlines licensing requirements. A dedicated concierge service will guide owners through permits and inspections, turning what used to be a maze into a clear path. For the people who keep our streets alive, this means opening doors faster, keeping rent affordable, and preserving the character that makes each block New York. It's a reminder that the city's greatest asset is its people, and when they thrive, the whole city shines. Coming up, a fire erupts on Flatiron Building scaffolding, and we'll examine record high rents sweeping Manhattan and Brooklyn. Stay with us. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. A blaze erupted on the scaffolding surrounding Manhattan's historic Flatiron Building near Madison Square Park, prompting an FDNY response and law enforcement presence. The incident remains active. Raphael Brannigan has the full story.
Flames leapt up from the steel scaffolding that encircles the historic Flatiron Building just after noon, sending a thick plume of smoke into the sky over Madison Square Park. Firefighters from Engine Company 22 arrived within minutes, deploying hoses and a ladder truck to tame the blaze that had ignited among the wooden planks and insulation. Law enforcement sources confirmed that the fire appeared to start on the northwest side of the scaffold, near the main entrance, but no explosives or hazardous materials were involved. The FDNY kept the surrounding sidewalks clear as residents watched the fire burn for roughly 15 minutes before it was fully extinguished. No injuries were reported, and work on the renovation will resume after a safety inspection. Raphael Brannigan, GMNA News, Flatiron District.
Manhattan and Brooklyn rents surged to record levels in July, with the median hitting $5,000 and a 6.4% year-over-year rise, even as Mayor Zoran Memdani maintains rent stabilization caps. Dominic Salerno has the full story.
Average per square foot rents in Manhattan surged to record levels this July, with the median climbing to $5,000 for the first time. The citywide rise represents a 6.4% increase over the same month last year. Brooklyn saw comparable jumps, pushing its market rate averages into new highs as well. Per square foot rents climbed to roughly $60, a new peak for the market. Mayor Zoran Memdani noted that while rent-stabilized units remain capped, the broader market continues its upward trajectory. Analysts point to limited inventory and strong demand as drivers behind the surge. Tenants in both boroughs now face steeper monthly bills across the board, reflecting the tight housing climate. Dominic Salerno, GMNA News, Manhattan.
Thank you, New York City, for joining us this evening. Tonight's highlight was the council's approval of year-round outdoor dining, bringing more vibrancy to our streets. We appreciate your curiosity and conversation. I'm Vivian Castellanos, and I'll see you tomorrow for another look at the stories shaping our city.